Travis Wayne Goodsell. So, while I was watching the Castle Beckett wedding, I was finally getting around to the documents that Stanford had sent. And we'll do a review of those right now. So, the first document that I went over was Berger's development of the Mormon temple endowment ritual. It's crap. He's not a scholar. I would have given him an F on his paper. For example, no legitimate scholar would ever say, some scholars feel. You have not learned from my class on how to do scientific research-based papers. I hope this wasn't a thesis paper for a PhD. But, despite this, as being a very poor quality work, he did point out some stuff that he obviously misinterpreted that I picked up on. For example, he talks about section 124. He doesn't understand that it's a forged document. If he had done his scientific-based research study, he would have figured that one out. But then he went on to talk about May 4th to 5th in 1842, in which he claims Joseph and Hiram Smith, along with 7 confirmed Danites, created the first endowment ceremony, in which it's confessed that it is the Adam on Diamond plot for the latter days. And he's clueless. He thinks it's legitimate. Oh my God. It is vital that anybody claiming to be a scholar do the right research. And so, yeah, then when they got onto Freemasonry, that's where the quote came in. Some scholars feel. That is not a legitimate paper. And unfortunately, I see too many footnotes on Wikipedia for Mormon articles just like this. Oh, dear God. But yeah, he confirms Joseph's original temple endowment was washing and anointings only. But he skips the importance of the visionary account of section 110, in which he doesn't make the connection, because he's not thinking in the learning of the Jews, to Joseph Smith a couple of days after the dedication, doing a washing of the feet and the Last Supper, and thus in connection with the visionary account that he has April 3rd, which was the third day of Passover. And so, yeah, he didn't do a thorough research. He needed to include section 110 with the learning of the Jews, and he just left it out because it didn't fit his spiritual witness feelings, I guess. It's not faith promoting. But this is yet another example of how Mormons merge what shouldn't be merged. I did the video today about the merging of Christianity and Judaism, that you can't do that. It's a major blunder in any kind of study. And so here you see Brigham's false forged documents being merged as if they are legitimate Joseph Smith documents. And Mormons are trying to apologize and explain how they contradict and yet are harmonized for faith promotion. You can't do that. Can't do that. So, anyway, I left it at that, and because to see him botch such simple, basic knowledge, I have no confidence in the rest of the Brigham Young era changes and development. And I already know all the development anyway. But yeah, getting that Adam-on-Diamond endowment indicates that, yeah, in 1842, Brigham Young was already in the process of forming that coup. 1842 was also the year when he starts his ledger, the Book of the Law, as he called it, the secret economy, and then would go on to create the secret government. And so this is his secret combination that he's forming. This seems to be, even though Adam-on-Diamond was selected by Brigham Young with this intent, as Thomas B. Marsh exposes in his affidavit, the official formation of this attempted coup in the latter days in 1842, as he brought out, does seem to be the formation of it, and following that pattern of 1838 with the war that the Danites started in Missouri to frame and blame Joseph. So anyway, then Stanford did a paper about the comparison between Constantine's passion plays to deceive the Christians newly formed into believing what they tell Christians to believe, rather than teaching them how to read the Bible for themselves and learn and study from the Bible directly. With Brigham Young and his deviation from Joseph Smith with the creation of the endowment passion plays. It was a good usage of identifying Constantine's church's use of the various plays. You don't go back in time to how it came to be, because the Greeks did the same thing for their temple rituals, and thus it goes back to the Egyptians who were doing it. And so, for example, facsimile number 1 from Kamambo, the temple ritual practice is for the priest officiating, if it's not the high priest of the temple, to wear the headdress of Anubis during the ceremony. And so thus why in the facsimile you are supposed to have Anubis's head on the priest who is making the sacrifice of the living person that is on that altar. And so, yeah, that we know. I think he even put it in the one video on the Edfu temple. The Edfu temple picture includes both the Ark of the Covenant for the Holy of Holies with the headdress of Anubis in that picture. So, yeah, otherwise that was pretty cool if he just would have kept on going. But focusing on just Constantine's version of it with Brigham Young's was sufficient. But if you were to go on and do a thorough research of that, you couldn't stop at Constantine being the creator of them. He got that from his Roman religion, and then they got it from the Greeks, and going all the way back to the Egyptians. And so the version that he performed, as you outlined, was maliciously altered, just like Brigham Young maliciously altered it from Joseph Smith. And then you wanted my review of an 1834 document that did not get put in the 1835 Doctrine and Covenants, and probably should have. But specifically, you were wanting to know about what Joseph Smith was talking about when he says, let's see if we can find the start of the extended sentence. Looks like we got to read the whole paragraph. And I would recommend to Brother White to enter complaints to the governor as of 10, as he receives any insults or injury, and in case that they proceed to endeavor to take life or tear down homes, and if the citizens of Clay County do not befriend us, to gather up the little army and be set over immediately into Jackson County, and trust in God and do the best he can in maintaining the ground. But in case the excitement continues to be allayed and peace prevails, use every effort to prevail on the churches to gather to those regions and situate themselves to be in readiness to move into Jackson County in 2 years from the 11th of September next, which is the appointed time for the redemption of Zion. If verily, I say unto you, if the church with one united effort perform their duties, if they do this, the work shall be complete. And I noticed you recognized in the temple endowment of Joseph Smith's, or not the temple endowment, the temple dedication of Kirtland. You did bring up section 110. That you did a beautiful review of the Jewishness in that dedication. And so you pointed out Joseph in Egypt, as in this document right here. If they do not this in all humility, making preparation from this time forth, like Joseph in Egypt, laying up store against the time of famine. And so you were wondering what it means by the appointed time for the redemption of Zion. Did you check the Jewish calendar? That's your answer. So we don't need that. In the Jewish calendar for 1836, September 11th is the final day of the civil calendar year. Thus, the 12th, the evening of the 11th, is the new civil calendar year of 5597. So there you go. Now, if it is symbolic for the latter-day gathering of Zion, I'm going to cry. But going over the Latter Days calendars, the 11th of September in 2017 does not correspond. This is Revelation chapter 12, verses 1, 2, and 5 for the 23rd of September 2017, which is 2 days after the New Year, which technically starts on the 20th at 6 p.m. in the evening, thus the third day, but second day officially. And so in that respect, there is significance beyond the scripture revelation date. Going to the 18th, September 11th is the second day of the new year of 5779. And yet, it is in the second year of the latter days, whereas the 23rd is the new civil calendar year. If we were to do the religious calendar year, that would be a different scenario, but it would not be the same as Joseph Smith had it. And so there wouldn't be a pattern match. 2019, September 11th, has no bearing for anything. The new year isn't until the 30th of September. 2020, September 11th, again, nothing. The new year is on the 19th of September. This was the Exodus year. 2021, September 11th, is after the new year this time, which was on the 7th of September. The Feast of Gedalia, is that the 9th? Yeah, the Fast of Gedalia. If anybody remembers me doing that video back in the day I did that for you. 2022, September 11th is nothing. New Year was on the 26th. 2023, the New Year was on the 16th. 2024, we got something. A match. An exact pattern match. The final day of... Oh, no, we don't. False alarm. The New Year is the 3rd. I was confused because the 12th is Yom Kippur, the Day of Atonement. And then 2025, oh crap. The Feast of Tabernacles. It is day number 5. Oh crap. Stanford. It's supposed to be Passover. Don't want to extend it again. I don't want that. But in the context of what is currently going on, Trump as the King of America now, he's adding states to the Union, Canada, Gaza, others that are bowing the knee to pay tribute, has declared that America will not be sanctuary Zion, which makes it tougher now to establish Zion. But the church is purposely doing this to destroy America, so that the church, with the fallen America, then gets their kingdom back. Adam and Diamond, the plot fulfilled. And And so, they don't understand the law of Purim. They're in denial that it will happen to them. They think they can bypass it, that they will self-fulfill the Bible prophecies of the Jews. And in so doing, they're meeting resistance with the prophesied Jewish Christ who appeared. They never expected him to appear. They knew that Joseph Smith self-appointed him to be Messiah ben Joseph. And so they did not believe that there would be the Messiah ben David who would appear. And so they've been fooling Mormons into believing in Christian Jesus of Constantine, just non-Trinitarian instead, for the sole purpose of destroying Joseph Smith and the Book of Mormon once and for all, in conjunction with the fall of America, as evangelicals are the major push for the rest of the nation and the church here in Utah, in Mormonville. And so the restoration of Zion is in great jeopardy and has been made harder to obtain for me. Why don't we just pour some more water on the altar like last year? I did it last year. And all of you are probably new and don't remember. If you're still listening to this video, and it's only 22 minutes, you can last 22 minutes into my videos, can't you guys? And so we've got Passover coming up. 2020 was supposed to be the year I did my stuff, but Oaks got leaked saying that they were just going to do a test run for this time around, if necessary. If they could have gotten away with it on January 6th, they would have. And the church would have had their kingdom, and then the temple was supposed to be finished on 8 April for the conference weekend to dedicate it. And so, yeah, it's kind of humiliating for Nelson to think that he can then come out with the open house dates and skip a dedication for conference. That was a desperate move on his part. And for him to then do a follow-up desperation last minute wasn't even in the church news. It was posts on social media that Idaho chick brought to my attention that tomorrow, and so it's only a day notice, it's not going to get the attention that they would have desired. And so the first presidency Easter message is going to be tomorrow instead of around the, because it's after conference in April. It's on the 20th. And so they could have done their first presidency message either before conference or after conference, as has been tradition. But they are having to contend with the reality of the Jewish Christ who showed. Notice, Mormons, that Jesus never showed, and yet Trump is an exact pattern match for Christian interpretation Jesus. Christian interpretation Jesus. Not the Jewish Christ, the Christian Christ. And it's Trump. He's doing everything. Thus the video that's in my prerequisite videos, it's only 7 minutes, about Nelson and Oaks talking about the coming of Jesus and Trump's fulfillment of it. Exact same pattern match. And so now, today, rushed for tomorrow, they're going to do their Easter message. And you know that they're going to do a general brush over as they always do, but try to distance themselves of associating it with Trump, which they've done. So watch that video before watching their live video of the Easter message this time, rather than just a printed document. Because their Christmas message last year was an exact plagiarism of the Nicene Creed of Constantine, the creation of Jesus. Okay? So I see the big picture of what's going on. Having done the research, looking at the calendars, looking at what Nelson's done, looking at what Trump's done, knowing the history of the Illuminati into Joseph's church through Brigham and Heber, their Adam on Diamond thing, which that doesn't surprise me. It's now added to what I already knew about them having that secret meeting for an endowment in Brigham's temple of the coup of America. So in our temple that we still have to this day, the law of consecration, the law of sacrifice, it's for the kingdom. That's code word for coup. It is not being subject to kings, presidents, rulers, and magistrates, and obeying, honoring, and sustaining the law, which is the Constitution, until Trump, who's destroying it. The church is using Trump to overthrow the government and destroy it, so that Utah can then reign supreme in Deseret 2.0. With all that Brigham Young had established. They now are going to restore it. Mormons don't want this. You've lived your life in the cover story of religion. The church is going to go back to what Brigham had. You don't want this. Trust me, and you won't. But it's very clear in section 119 of the bondage you will be placed under if they win. And so, yeah, we've got some sun shall be darkened, moon turned to blood, stars falling from heaven coming for the curse of Joseph and Passover, which the third day would be Monday the 14th, if we were to follow that same pattern. So, Jewish Christ is here, Mormons, and the great and abominable church is here, and the beast with the false prophet are doing their stuff to overthrow the government. So, lots of stuff to pay attention to in the coming days. I could do the Utah news. That was all that we had. We didn't have Trump ICE 2023, but yeah, it's all building to turn Utah into a full-blown rebellion against Trump. Even though the church put Trump in to do what Trump is doing, the church is claiming to be the sanctuary state that Trump isn't touching. Other sanctuary cities getting busted and sued by Trump, but Trump is not touching Utah. He's backing off because the church is in charge of Trump. Very blatantly obvious, and it's starting to get recognized as such. But nobody's making the connection with Nelson and Trump yet. I am. And so this is what the church is hoping for, that the enemy comes in, destroys Utah for being a sanctuary city, then the church can claim to be the victims, and then when the American government has fallen and Utah gets to be an independent kingdom again, the church takes over with the casualties of Mormons in the ruins. So, heads up, guys. Heads up.